In a peaceful city, a massive red energy force suddenly appeared, known as the Paradox Zone. A man was trying to approach it, but it seemed too late as a monster emerged from the Paradox Zone. The young man did not hesitate to transform and rush forward to deal with it. In just a moment, the monster was destroyed. All of this was posted online and received tremendous engagement, which pleased the protagonist. Just then, his younger sister entered and interrupted his thoughts, pulling him to start a new day. Elsewhere on a beach, some kind of card washed ashore and was picked up by a girl. It turned out that not long ago, humans had discovered a transcendent element more fundamental than atoms in matter. Something that could create emotions, abilities, memories, and other complex things, called logic. Because of it, battles for the survival of worlds gradually began to take place. In their city, surrounded by a protective barrier, a spatial portal appeared and something shot down from it. At that moment in the Tsurugi household, his family was having breakfast and chatting happily when a new notification arrived about a paradox level 3.7 about to appear. Tsurugi's father and sister did not pay much attention since this was just a low-level paradox. Only Tsurugi was worried and hid under the table. Elsewhere, the girls were fighting monsters emerging from the paradox zone. Thanks to their skillful use of logic and combination, the monster was easily dealt with and returned to its original form. At home, Tsurugi wanted to go back to his room to sleep, but was dragged by Shiori to go to the city to choose a birthday gift for their father. To avoid being recognized by people, Tsurugi had to disguise himself discreetly. At that moment on the street, there was commotion because a luxury car appeared. Girls in uniforms introduced themselves as members of the soccer club, and there seemed to be an argument between them and the owner of the car. But because of Article 6 of the World Self-Defense Alliance law, the girl Yukari had to follow the butler into the luxury car and leave, leaving her friends behind. Tsurugi did not pay much attention and continued walking with his sister. Elsewhere, director Veronica persuaded Yukari that she was a potential logicalist, one in a million. Other logicalists were excited to see a newcomer. Veronica continued to explain logic to Yukari, something that appears during puberty and disappears in adulthood. Then another person named Nemesis appeared in the room, the covenant goddess of Veronica, something Yukari would also have when she becomes a member of the Alka Security Bureau. Then there was another notification about detecting a paradox level 7.2, much higher than the previous one. On this side, the Tsurugi siblings at the shopping center also received the new notification. Everyone ran out of the center in fear. Tsurugi also told his sister to run outside, while he would act as bait to lure the monster away. He quickly attracted the monster's attention, and was helped by a girl to climb higher. The logicalists also appeared to deal with this monster, although they defeated it and forced the foreigner to return to its true form. They accidentally let it escape. The director ordered the girls to close the Paradox Zone gate first and search for the monster later. Tsurugi only then ran out of the shopping center. Seeing that his sister was safe, he quickly went to another place to meet the girl who had just saved him. She introduced herself as Athena and came here to become his covenant goddess. As he was a logicalist, to protect the peace of this world, Athena took out the logic card that Tsurugi had lost before, wanting him to continue his mission. Just then, his father and sister came to reunite with Tsurugi. Hearing Athena's words, Shiori immediately did not want Tsurugi to go into battle. She wanted him to continue living as an ordinary person and not get involved in trouble anymore. At that moment, the Paradox Zone and that monster reappeared. Without further words, Tsurugi immediately went forward with Athena. On the way, Athena recounted 2 years ago in Hong Kong, where Tsurugi had ignored his boss's advice and rushed to protect everyone even if it meant sacrificing himself, which was why she chose him. Tsurugi felt a bit moved hearing this, quickly put on his logograph again, and made a covenant with Athena. At this time, the Paradox Zone was in chaos. The logicalist girls were struggling as they were reaching their limits, while the monster showed no signs of fatigue. At that moment, Tsurugi appeared with his logicalist equipment, using his shield to defend against the monster's attack, and telling everyone to counterattack at this opportunity. As everyone stood stunned, Tsurugi used his logic to attack and weaken the monster. The girls then seized the opportunity to rush forward and deal with the foreigner. After everything was resolved, Tsurugi returned to his original form. The girls were shocked to see this, even more surprised that his covenant goddess was Athena. Finally, the foreigner was dealt with, and the injured were carefully treated. The logicalist girls were talking with Athena, most of them surprised that Athena chose a boy, while some did not like him. Tsurugi did not talk much with them and went home. This time, the luxury car and butler appeared at his doorstep. Shiori still did not want her brother to take risks anymore, but after listening to Tsurugi's persuasion, she finally relented. After saying goodbye to his father and sister, Tsurugi agreed to get in the car with the butler. In another space, a man was very surprised that Athena had chosen Tsurugi, but at the same time he had high hopes for his future. At Alka, thanks to Veronica, everyone learned about the incident 2 years ago in Hong Kong. Tsurugi was one of the few active logicalists who had used the forbidden overtrance. While everyone did not quite understand overtrance, Tsurugi suddenly walked in with his suitcase. He would become a new member of Alka. Team leader Tamaki was about to introduce herself and everyone when Tsurugi interrupted her, saying he wanted to go rest first, which annoyed her. As soon as Tsurugi entered the room, he saw Athena already there. It turned out that to strengthen the bond between them, those with covenants must live together. Elsewhere, another male logicalist also received news about Tsurugi, and he seemed to flash a smirk. At this time in a dream, Athena expressed her desire to make a covenant with Tsurugi. Just as they were about to touch lips, Tsurugi suddenly woke up. Athena smiled with amusement, explaining that when they made a covenant, it meant sharing logic with each other. So if Athena's dreams had him in them, Tsurugi's dreams would also have her. Elsewhere, Athena took Tsurugi to meet the head of Alka named Jarno. Upon returning, Tsurugi would still be considered a new member, and needed to participate in an ability test 2 days later. While talking, the blonde young man from before also appeared, introducing himself as Olga Breakchild, also a logicalist. This person used logic to warn Tsurugi that he would face misfortune on the test day with a 100% probability. Tsurugi did not quite understand, but in the blink of an eye, the test day arrived. Besides Tsurugi, the other girls also had to come for review purposes. The test had 500 questions, and whoever scored lowest would have to cook for the team. Nemesis quickly read the questions for everyone, and except for the blonde girl, everyone answered correctly. The little girl Yukari also talked about the origin of monsters based on what she had learned, and the Covenant gods explained that opening or closing gates required gate cards to prevent monsters from returning. The questions continued until the afternoon. The test results came in. Tsurugi and team leader Tamaki got perfect scores, while the blonde girl had the lowest score. After the test ended, everyone went to the cafeteria and enjoyed the super huge hamburger made by the low-scoring blonde girl. Everything was delicious except for the sauce. Tsurugi ate some sauce and had to keep going to the bathroom. So this was the misfortune that Olga mentioned. Just then, Shori called her brother, telling him that their father suddenly brought a strange woman home, and they seemed to have some kind of delusion. After the call ended, the girls thought Tsurugi had a girlfriend, and everyone chatted happily together. Only Tamaki still seemed upset with him about something. Yukari explained it was because of his rude behavior yesterday. Tsurugi immediately went to apologize and ask everyone's names, learning that the blonde girl was named Chloe with the Covenant goddess Valkyrie, the short blue-haired girl was named Ashuhamana with the Covenant goddess Artemis, and Tamaki's Covenant goddess was Venus. Then Tamaki introduced her trance time as 225 hours, having been a logicalist since age 13. Tsurugi had not paid attention to this matter either. He took out his logograph to check and saw the number displayed was 2066 hours. Athena explained that due to Tsurugi's special constitution, his trance limit could recover extremely fast. Tsurugi also remembered that in the past, he could recover trance in just 5 minutes of rest. Everyone admired his talent. Tsurugi then asked about the male logicalist named Olga, but everyone just sighed. Elsewhere in the headquarters, Tsurugi called his old friend to tell him about finding his logic card again and returning to work. He called to ask his friend about information on Olga Breakchild, but they did not know anything about this person either, and people here did not talk much about him. Olga was also at the headquarters at this time, and everyone seemed to respect him. Olga went to the cage holding the monster from before to release it. The team was now in a training session with that foreigner under everyone's observation from outside. Veronica explained that it was a virtual reality space that collected information from foreigners and used them for simulated battles. The logicalists would train with it, and the tactical data from their logigraphs would be calculated by the control room staff. The logicalists would choose the most effective attack method to defeat the foreigner monsters. At this time, Olga also entered the control room to observe the training. In the simulation room, Mana aimed her gun weapon at the monster, and Chloe also charged forward with her sword, but she was quickly knocked away. Just when it seemed like she would be crushed, Tsurugi appeared in time with his shield to protect Chloe. In the control room, each person's position was identified. Chloe as center forward, Mana as side back, Tamaki as center back, Tsurugi as keeper. Yukari took notes while asking Veronica about the concept of overtrance. Olga explained on her behalf that it was a forbidden technique. Since all living creatures have 1,000 logic cards, each side shares half their logic in trance, so overtrance is the final attack using all logic from both parties. However, after using it, both will suffer countless paradox sickness, and their personalities will be destroyed. Currently everything is controlled by the logograph, and without the director's permission, no one can perform overtrance anymore. On the battle floor, Chloe wanted to attack, but Tsurugi wanted Mana to do it. Mana quickly used her logic to rush at the monster and finish it. In summary, mental and physical power consumption was only half compared to before thanks to the influence of Tsurugi's logic. Everyone had just left the training room when they met Olga. It turned out he had completed everything, so he did not need to train with them. Tsurugi wanted to know about his covenant god and battle position. But at this moment a low-level paradox appeared. Veronica ordered Tsurugi to go since the others had exhausted their trance. Tsurugi did not understand why they did not assign this mission to Olga, but no one seemed to answer this question. On the way to the Paradox Zone, Tsurugi temporarily set this matter aside to make a covenant with Athena. They arrived at a small nursery where the foreigner was demanding candy from the children. Tsurugi quickly dealt with it easily. In the control room, everyone silently observed Tsurugi, unaware that Olga was in the basement wanting to release the monster from its cage. Tsurugi appeared once again to question what this person's purpose was. Then Athena ran in to explain that Olga was a logicalist but had not made a covenant yet. Over the past 2 days, he had been trying to get close to that foreigner just to attempt making a covenant with it. Everyone did not mention Olga because they felt sorry for him. Tsurugi was at a loss for words and quickly left to meet Jarno and Tamaki. Jarno called them to announce that Tsurugi would be made team leader. Tamaki then asked Tsurugi in confusion why he did not capture the foreigner immediately earlier, as their goal was to save the person who was transiject. She was not convinced by Jarno's request, but orders were orders, so she quickly left the command room. Tsurugi lay on the bed remembering what had just happened, feeling somewhat guilty inside. Seeing him tossing and turning, Athena sat up to talk with him. On this side, Tamaki was sad about what had happened, and Venus wanted to come closer to comfort her, but did not seem to know what to do. The next day at the dining room, Tamaki quickly left the table before everyone and departed, leaving a tense atmosphere in the room. Olga used his ability to reveal to them that the probability of Tamaki not giving up her dream was 70%. Tsurugi wanted to know more, but Olga just told him he should go ask the team leader instead. So Tsurugi quickly went to Veronica's room to ask about the situation, wanting to learn more about Tamaki. According to Veronica, Tamaki had participated in an ability search program during junior high school and moved to Neian alone. Her dream was to become a doctor specializing in treating people with paradox sickness. But when her logicalist abilities awakened and she was transferred to Alka, Tamaki still tried to fulfill her dream and became the youngest team leader of Alka. Hearing this made Tsurugi feel even more guilty, as if he were a sinner. But Nemesis and Veronica continued to point out Tamaki's flaws. She cared too much about appearances and the issue of whether to kill foreigners or not. At this time, there was another notification about 2 new foreigners in the southern part of Neian district, Paradox Level 4 and Level 4.2. Both of them put this matter aside to carry out the mission. The girls quickly tranced, and Tamaki was still upset, seemingly resisting Tsurugi's requests, but he just remained silent. In the command room, Olga and Veronica observed the situation. Veronica had put Tsurugi and Tamaki on the same team to deal with the monster. At the amusement park, the male foreigner was feeling smug when Chloe and Mana rushed in to attack. The female foreigner was handled by Tsurugi and Tamaki. The 2 monsters this time were a succubus and an incubus, which had appeared several times before, but had hidden themselves cleverly, making them very difficult to find. At this time, the control room staff reported that the paradox level of both foreigners was increasing. Apparently, they were the type that absorbed logic from their surroundings. Veronica quickly ordered everyone to be careful not to have all their logic absorbed. The 2 different teams quickly carried out their missions. On the incubus side, Tsurugi defended Tamaki, while on the succubus side, Mana provided backup behind Chloe. At this point, Chloe had been hit and absorbed to her limit, giving the monster an opening to charge at her. Just when it seemed like they would be defeated, Mana arrived and used her weapon to finish off the foreigner. The bait plan of both had succeeded. Olga was not surprised, only feeling that pairing Tamaki with Tsurugi did not seem reasonable since both were not strong in attacking. On the succubus side, Veronica ordered Tamaki to attack while Tsurugi supported her. Tamaki did not seem to want to kill anyone, but Venus quickly took out a weapon wanting to attack. With the paradox level rising rapidly, it seemed she could not resist the order. Tsurugi continued using his shield to defend, but seeing the situation was not good, he quickly changed strategy, rushing forward to attack with his shield. But the blow was not strong enough to finish off the monster. This angered the monster, and it quickly fled and hid its position. They had lost track of it. Back at Alka headquarters, Tamaki was reprimanded for disobeying orders. Tsurugi wanted to speak up for her, but Veronica still followed the rules. Back in his room, Tsurugi still felt indignant on behalf of Tamaki, and Athena shared his feelings. That night, Venus sadly watched Tamaki slumped over as if wanting to give up. This time the monster appeared again in the city. Currently Chloe and Mana had both reached their limits and could not attack, so Veronica had to personally go into battle with Tsurugi providing support. Arriving at the strategic location, Veronica quickly used a destruction technique to deal with the foreigner, wanting to eliminate it quickly. Tsurugi used his shield to protect those who had been pulled in, as well as to protect Veronica when needed. In Tamaki's room, she was feeling sad when she received an urgent emergency notification. Tamaki wanted to give up the mission, but Venus pulled her hand, wanting to go there with her. On this side, Tsurugi saw Veronica continuously using logic drive to devastate the surroundings and wanted to stop her. But Veronica reminded him to follow the director's orders. The injured lay scattered on the road. Tamaki wanted to go treat them, but Venus reminded her of their mission. Tamaki could only temporarily leave the injured behind and run to where the monster was. This time, the foreigner used a new technique, using the power of darkness to charge at Tamaki in the distance. But this time, she used an attack weapon to protect everyone. Veronica ordered Tamaki to quickly kill this foreigner. Venus also advised her to deal with it. Only Tsurugi advised her to reconsider. After struggling with her thoughts for a while, Tamaki decided to choose both and used the love dance attack to defeat it. After everything was settled, Veronica spoke to Tsurugi, expressing that she did not require Tsurugi to accept this cruel method. But they all had a shared mission to accomplish. Everything quickly ended there. The next day at the dining table, everyone was worried about Tamaki, afraid she would not come. But at this moment Tamaki also came down, apologizing to everyone for her actions over the past few days. Hearing this, Chloe quickly went over to her, and along with Mana, reassured her to return the atmosphere to normal. Olga also interjected with some random words to help brighten the mood in the room. Tamaki then went over to Tsurugi, thanking him for stopping her that day, and expressed that she would trust him more in the future. Tsurugi was also happy with everyone. Although their viewpoints differed, their goal for world peace was the same. In this peaceful room, an emergency notification arrived about a new foreigner appearing, this time a high paradox level reaching 9.8. But just as they were preparing their attack formation, the notification and danger positioning disappeared, as if it had never existed, leaving everyone bewildered. Olga used his ability to deduce that destroying that succubus had angered the demon gods. Tamaki heard this and felt it was her fault. While everyone was still speculating, only Athena seemed to sense something and ran outside in panic, encountering someone holding a young girl. It was Lucifer, who explained he just wanted to try the feeling of trance once. Athena asked about his purpose. Lucifer only said that because there was no place for him over there anymore, he came here. This made Athena worried about the future of this world. The scene shifted to a stadium where a giant foreigner appeared, and a logicalist immediately rushed forward to deal with it. The continuous attacks left the monster unable to react before being dealt with. The young Chloe had witnessed all of this, worshipping the logicalist and wanting to befriend her, also nurturing the dream of becoming a logicalist like them, and having to become the best one. Returning to the present, Chloe was running on the road early in the morning, arriving at a place that was completely cordoned off. Veronica was there with other members, reminding Chloe not to run around to such places. Yesterday, after creating a large paradox zone, the foreigner quickly disappeared. Chloe immediately considered it as her new opponent. Returning to the team's dining room, Chloe and everyone looked at the plate of dried fish sandwiches made by Athena and were speechless. Tamaki reminded Chloe not to always do things her own way and get the whole team reprimanded by the investigation team. But Chloe did not pay much attention. Tamaki and everyone discussed the one who could create a paradox level 9.8 like that. At this time, a girl named Clau appeared reminding Chloe not to be late for practice. Chloe went to the staff office and borrowed their computer to investigate the incident from that day. Thanks to the computer's capabilities, Chloe quickly found the identity of the victim from that day. She rode her bicycle like lightning to find that person. In the control room, everyone was also discussing the girl who had encountered the 9.8 foreigner. Just then, they also saw Chloe approaching the victim. Thanks to Chloe's guidance, the other girl described the person. A young man with fluffy blue hair who had been carrying the victim in his arms. Suddenly, another notification came out about a new paradox zone appearing with level 4.0. Since it was convenient, Veronica assigned Chloe to this mission. Everyone was on their way there when they received notifications about two new foreigners with levels 2.66 and level 2. Since everyone was gathered in one place, Tsurugi ordered Chloe to meet up at area number 7. But Chloe did not follow his orders, wanting to deal with the level 4 foreigner at area 12 first. Valkyrie heard the order and left the car to go with Chloe. The two quickly met up and transformed through trance to head to area 12. On this side, Mana and everyone quickly performed trance with their covenant gods and got out of the car to carry out the mission. Veronica repeatedly requested Chloe to rendezvous with Tsurugi's group to support the mission but received no response. That side was extremely chaotic, and Tsurugi was even hit and injured. Time skipped forward to a while later when Chloe and Valkyrie had just returned to headquarters and met Tamaki, who had been waiting. Tamaki angrily scolded Chloe for always doing things her own way and ignoring those around her, repeatedly disobeying orders. Chloe thought that splitting up to fight would be faster, and besides, when facing an enemy you should attack immediately. From then on, conflict arose between the two. On this side, Veronica reported the situation to Jarno. Tsurugi was only slightly injured, so after treatment he could still continue to complete trance. Jarno seemed to highly value Tsurugi, requiring everyone to treat him carefully. On this side, Chloe was still upset about Tamaki's nagging. Valkyrie just remained silent. By the hospital bed, Tsurugi had just woken up when Tamaki came in, apologizing on behalf of Chloe. Before they could say anything more, at this moment there was another notification about approximately 70 foreigners attacking. Without receiving instructions, Chloe had already left the room with Valkyrie. The situation was so urgent that Olga had to beg a weak foreigner to make a covenant with him to help deal with it. But the result was still no. On this side, Chloe wanted to get in the car and go immediately, but both Tamaki and Veronica required them to wait until they could trance before deploying. Over there, those assigned quickly proceeded to the location with foreigners. In the tea room, Artemis could only pray for everyone's safety. In the car, Tsurugi quickly made a covenant with Athena and rushed forward. Tamaki and Chloe still could not depart and could only watch Tsurugi fighting monsters from afar. They still had 20 to 25 minutes before they could recover their trance. The car was then started, and Chloe and Tamaki were still sulking at each other. Only their two covenant gods wanted them to quickly speak their minds. Tamaki continued to scold Chloe, and the two argued for a long time. The team's car deviated from the formation, but this time Veronica did not say anything. Inside the car, Chloe was still arguing with Tamaki, believing that the investigation team was not as reliable as herself. Tamaki recounted the incident where Chloe did not follow the plan and caused Tsurugi to be injured. Chloe still believed she could not entrust everything to others, that she was not a machine that only knew how to follow orders. On this side, Tsurugi was still dealing with the foreigners alone, causing his strength to decline greatly. On this side, although they had tranced, Chloe and Tamaki were still arguing with each other. Tamaki believed they were a team and needed to work together, while Chloe believed that acting as a group was just the way of weak people deluding themselves. Without further words, Chloe rushed to attack the monsters, but was stopped by Tamaki. On this side, Tsurugi had reached his limit, but because the evacuation of everyone had been successful, he finally relaxed and could not hold on any longer, reaching his limit. Just at that dangerous moment, Tamaki arrived in time and created a shield for everyone. Tsurugi wanted her and Athena to leave quickly, but Tamaki was determined to protect both of them. The more these foreigners were destroyed, the more the levels of some of them increased, and no one was being transajacked either, like puppets. Chloe wanted to help Tamaki deal with them. Tamaki told Tsurugi and Athena to fall back. Chloe used her logic drive to deal with all of them in just one sword swing. At this point only a few foreigners remained alive, but their levels kept increasing to alarming levels. The chaotic spinning wheel stopped, and a high-level Joker-shaped monster appeared. Tamaki immediately used her power to hold it in place. Chloe remembered their friendship and immediately rushed forward to coordinate with her to destroy this foreigner. The situation was brought under control, allowing everyone to breathe a sigh of relief. Returning to the dining room, everyone happily ate and talked together again. At this time, Athena apologized to Tsurugi for the poor trance performance earlier, but Tsurugi only said that everyone was very worried about her. Hearing this, Athena decided to tell the truth, that she had met the foreigner Lucifer, who was also the one with level 9.8 from before. Night fell on the city, and time passed peacefully. Mana appeared in a small alley, opening a box to check something, then sadly closing it again. At headquarters, everyone had learned about her and Artemis's disappearance. Since it was past curfew, both Yukari and Tsurugi were very worried, but Tamaki and Chloe seemed used to this disappearance. Outside the city, Mana sat silently in the corner of the alley watching people walk by. Artemis just gently approached, advising her to return before everyone worried. Inside headquarters, Tamaki told Tsurugi the whole situation. Mana was an abandoned child left in a storage box, then taken to an orphanage, but she could not get along with those around her. Mana kept looking at and hoping that someone would return to that storage box, so she often wrote letters and placed them there, hoping that one day her parents would receive the letters and call her back. Even after becoming a logicalist and joining Alka, she still often did this. Everyone had tried to help Mana find her relatives, but she seemed to be someone who did not like to smile. On this side, Tsurugi was talking to his father about what he had just heard. His father advised him to use a love dish to melt that frozen heart. So the next day, a red bean pumpkin dessert was made especially for Mana. Tamaki then entered the dining room angrily holding out a newspaper, revealing that this was a dish meant for lovers. Tsurugi was speechless and silently cursed his father, while Mana quietly left the dining table. When it was time for jogging, Tsurugi ran to where Mana was training to explain about this morning's incident to her, and also wanted to say something, but Mana did not pay attention and put on her headphones and ran away. But when she heard Tsurugi mention the incident from 2 years ago in Hong Kong, she immediately ran back. wanting to ask him about the feeling of performing over trance. Tsurugi recalled that at that time he felt very desperate, because he wanted to protect everyone around him. He had to take that step. As for the consequences, Tsurugi was lucky to only lose his logicalist abilities, but worse cases would lose both emotions and memories. While they were talking, a new notification came about a foreigner with paradox level 6.5, and it was a flying monster too. Everyone immediately got in the car to perform trance and deal with the monster. They arrived at an underground factory and prepared to get into position. At this moment, hands suddenly appeared from under the ground and grabbed Chloe and Tamaki, causing the logic rate of both to drop sharply. Veronica immediately ordered both of them to retreat quickly, as this monster forced them to stop trancing earlier than usual. According to the investigation room, the paradox zone around it emitted a type of venom that reduced the physical and mental strength of those who entered. Everyone lost hope in close combat, leaving only Mana to rely on. She immediately concealed herself and approached the monster. Tsurugi ordered Mana to fall back, but at this moment the monsters had already come forward and attacked Mana. Tsurugi immediately ran to protect her. With Mana poisoned in this situation, both had to quickly climb higher to escape. Returning to Alka headquarters, everyone stood worried around Mana's hospital room. The foreigner was still there and monitored outside by Chloe. Mana did not want everyone to stay in the room, so everyone quickly left. Tsurugi also sat alone in the dining room thinking about something that tormented him. Athena was also admiring the surroundings when she suddenly noticed that the entire neighborhood that had been lit up suddenly went dark. Due to the power outage, everyone had to go to the highest floor and use the remaining equipment to check the situation. The affected area of the paradox zone caused by that foreigner had spread throughout the entire energy center. Reports from hospitals across the city indicated that the power outage greatly affected the patients. At this time, the bureau chief, Mr. Jarno, also appeared to deliver bad news. Although they had mobilized support from across the country, none could arrive immediately. Olga also said that if they could not approach the foreigner, the situation would be very bad. Mana, despite being injured, decided to leave with Artemis. Their arrival at the scene shocked everyone. Mana wasted no time and immediately approached the paradox zone, even requesting permission to use overtrance. Indeed, if they used it, they could defeat the monster from a distance, but no one agreed. The price of using overtrance that Tsurugi had mentioned had moved her, and Mana wanted to start everything over this way. Tsurugi wanted to go there and stop Mana, but Veronica had approved Mana's use of overtrance. The order was approved, and Mana was preparing to execute it when Tsurugi arrived in time to stop her. He proposed an alternative solution, wanting to use himself as a shield to buy time for Mana to deal with it in the narrow space. Tsurugi advised her not to do something foolish because there were still teammates behind her. Everything was decided, and Mana once again entered with Tsurugi supporting her with his shield. He brought Mana close to the foreigner, and despite being knocked away, both still tried to charge forward once more. Just as the opportunity came, Mana immediately fired a shot into the monster's mouth. Both had successfully dealt with the monster. Everyone behind finally breathed a sigh of relief. Jarno believed that Veronica's decision at that time was not wrong, but their strength was much greater. A while later, Mana once again opened her eyes in the hospital room, with everyone beside her looking worried. Mana finally smiled, making everyone extremely excited. In a prison cell, the foreigner from earlier smiled with amusement, mentioning a bet it had made with Lucifer. One morning, children were playing soccer happily together, with Yukari directing everyone from afar. Then suddenly the scene changed, and Yukari was standing on the field with her friends from Alka, who kept telling her to kick the ball. It turned out it was just a dream of hers, from when she was still an ordinary person with her club. After greeting Chloe, she began her new day at Alka headquarters. After talking with Chloe, Mana went to meet someone in the investigation room named Katoka. The two talked for a while, not paying attention to the foreigner in the prison cell who kept crying about being cold. That was Quetzalcoatl, the monster that caused the recent power outage. The damage it caused was severe, even causing the cancellation of the performance by Akatsuki Hashimi, an idol that Katoka liked. After talking for a while, Yukari returned with a pile of stuff in her hands, rare chocolates that Katoka gave her. Everyone enjoyed the chocolate, and Yukari quickly made tea for everyone. Each person had their own preference, but she could handle them all. Artemis sipped tea while reminiscing about the first day she met Mana, a girl who was much colder than now, but also very fragile, making Artemis want to protect her. Yukari praised the close bond between the two, expressing how happy she was to see Artemis so cheerful. Both believed that it was thanks to Tsurugi that Mana was able to break down the defensive wall in her heart and smile at them. At this point, Artemis praised Yukari's talent for understanding people's hearts. While they were talking, Yukari was summoned to the training room with Olga. On the rooftop, the one making a covenant with her this time was Athena. Tsurugi and everyone observed from outside. Veronica wanted them to try trancing with each other, but it seemed unsuccessful. This time it was Olga's turn, but before he could even step forward, he received a notification that the trance had failed. Olga did not think he was weak, but thought that Athena was not strong enough for him to want to trance with. Athena just laughed along with this delusional fool's words. Yukari then approached Athena to ask how to use trance, and Athena felt they needed to understand each other. Veronica saw this and came to explain further. That was just the case with Athena and Tsurugi. Different people would have different methods, like Chloe and Valkyrie, or Tamaki and Venus. She advised Yukari to find her own method. Olga said some random words again, and only Yukari smiled in response to him, truly a caring person. Returning to the kitchen, Yukari cooked while thinking about her own trance method, feeling that she could combine everyone's methods together. After a while, she had completed a large pot of soup for the whole team. Elsewhere, Katuka was still managing that foreigner Quetzalcoatl, and both he and it kept complaining about being cold. Seeing the monster suddenly become unusually quiet, Katuka entered the cell and realized that Quetzalcoatl was so cold it was becoming delirious, showing signs of being unconscious. Katuka worriedly immediately opened the cell door to check on it, only to fall directly into the monster's trap. On this side, Yukari was just bringing out the pot of soup when she was drawn into the paradox zone energy of that Quetzalcoatl. When she learned that this monster had pretended to sleep and taken over Katoka's body, Yukari worriedly asked it to release him, because being trance-eject for a long time would leave lasting effects on the victim. Quetzalcoatl did not care much but stayed to talk with her. Feeling that Yukari was an interesting person and wanting to rush forward and swallow her whole to taste her, Yukari immediately used her pot of soup to block the foreigner's mouth, inviting it to eat soup with her. Everything was recorded on screen by the investigation room. Veronica ordered Clow and Piri to evacuate the staff from headquarters, since Chloe and Tamaki were at the hospital with Mana. Only they could handle the situation. Inside the paradox zone, Quetzalcoatl was frantically enjoying Yukari's soup, because she said she had something to tell. The foreigner reluctantly did not kill her yet. When it learned that Yukari was a manager, the monster was very excited, comparing her to shrine maidens of ancient times. In the investigation room, the current situation was very tense, so they wanted to blow up the floor to make both Quetzalcoatl and Yukari fall down below. Veronica also assigned Tsurugi the task of rescuing Yukari when she fell. Olga wanted to join the mission, so Veronica made him go near Quetzalcoatl to give instructions to Yukari. Through the conversation between the two, they learned that the foreigners came here to destroy everything because humans no longer worshipped monsters. Yukari received instructions from Olga to stall for time, so she immediately continued talking with the monster. Below, Veronica was preparing the rescue plan with everyone. The monster kept saying it wanted to destroy everything, and Yukari continued responding to stall for time, but did not know that Quetzalcoatl had known everything from the beginning. It immediately knocked Olga away and prepared to deal with Yukari immediately. But at this moment, the floor below also exploded, causing both of them to fall down. Tsurugi appeared in time to catch her, while the monster had to face Veronica, as it was still alive. Tsurugi told Yukari to run away quickly, then he rushed to support Veronica. But at this moment, Yukari suddenly ran up and used her body to protect Quetzalcoatl. Before Veronica's attack that could not be withdrawn in time, she used her soccer skills to kick a large brick forward to block the explosion. Tsurugi immediately threw his shield to protect her. The shockwave from the explosion still caused Yukari to collapse, but fortunately she was still alive. Quetzalcoatl did not understand why Yukari saved it, and she just said that as a manager she needed to take care of her players. It was unclear which nerve this touched in the monster, but Quetzalcoatl, hearing this, slowly released Katuka and transformed back to its original form. Veronica quickly called for backup and went to support the unconscious Yukari. Quetzalcoatl decided to spare them and even went to the hospital to visit Yukari with Katuka. Upon hearing that Yukari was still a trainee logicalist, it told Yukari to become its shrine maiden. Thus, she and Quetzalcoatl went to the rooftop, and in front of everyone directly jumped down. A moment later, the trance process was successful, and she could now fly together with Quetzalcoatl. Tsurugi and Veronica were very satisfied with the result, believing that the two would be a well-matched pair. On this side, Yukari and Quetzalcoatl happily flew through the sky under everyone's congratulations. One beautiful day, Tsurugi called home to inform his sister that Alka allowed them to take a few days off to relax, as logicalists from other regions had come to take over. Both his sister Shiori and his father Rintaro happily wanted to throw a party to welcome him home. Tsurugi invited Athena to come home with him, so the next day, both of them arrived at his house. Shiori happily told them to come inside. In the living room, there was not only Athena, but all the people from Alka headquarters had come to celebrate Tsurugi's birthday. As it turned out, Shiori had invited them. After a moment of surprise, Tsurugi sighed and questioned Shiori, because the truth was today was not his birthday. But this girl had sent invitations to everyone to get them all here. Even so, no one was angry, as this was still an occasion to have fun together. Just then there was a sound from downstairs, and Tsurugi, afraid his father had brought another woman home, hurriedly ran down to see. Just as he reached the stairs, he was extremely surprised to see at the door Veronica, Nemesis, and his father had returned. It turned out they had met at a bar and came here on the way, and Rintaro also used the same excuse as Shiori to invite his son's superiors to the house. With everyone gathered, Shiori and the others went into the kitchen to cook. Everyone pitched in to prepare the dishes for dinner. Tsurugi and Olga were assigned the task of arranging tables and chairs and cleaning up. His father, Mr. Rintaro, sat leisurely chatting with Veronica and Nemesis, and seeing Nemesis talking happily with Rintaro surprised everyone. After a while, the food was all set out, and Tamaki asked about Tsurugi's mother. Shiori explained on his behalf that their mother had been ill and passed away 7 years ago, and Tamaki regretfully apologized to them. This interlude did not make everyone sad for too long, and at the dining table, they returned to a cheerful atmosphere. Rintaro asked if anyone had a significant other yet. Venus raised her hand saying she liked everyone, making everyone smile. Rintaro then asked if his son was interested in anyone here, and Tsurugi immediately told his father not to ask such questions anymore. Everyone seemed normal, only Athena was slightly blushing and thinking about something. After dinner came entertainment time, and Yukari continued into the kitchen with Quetzalcoatl to make dessert. Tamaki and Venus went to pay respects before Tsurugi's mother's memorial photo. Chloe had snuck into Tsurugi's room to doodle, leaving him unable to scold her. Mana was finishing the rest of her dinner with Artemis. Tsurugi then noticed that Athena was not here. Veronica explained she had just gone shopping, and hearing this made Tsurugi a bit worried about her. Athena was shopping while thinking about what Mr. Rintaro had said earlier. At this moment she encountered Lucifer once again, surrounded by girls who kept asking him to continue trancing. Athena wanted to leave, but Lucifer called her back. On this side, Tsurugi waited outside for a while and did not see her return, so he proactively went to find her. At this time, Athena and Lucifer went to another courtyard to talk. Through the story we learned that Lucifer was the one who caused the 100-year war where they came from, and currently he just wanted to enjoy life here. Lucifer easily noticed that Athena liked Tsurugi, but she only said she would not interfere in Tsurugi's life, and after completing the mission everything would end. Lucifer mentioned creating a world called Septpia, an ideal place where humans and gods could coexist. But at this moment Tsurugi had found Athena, and also came face to face with Lucifer. Tsurugi wanted to attack but was stopped by Athena, and Lucifer calmly said goodbye to both of them and left. Tsurugi unhappily questioned why Athena did not call to inform him when that Lucifer came. The two had their first argument, because Athena had trusted that Lucifer more than Tsurugi. He was very sad about it, feeling that the distance between humans and gods seemed impossible to overcome. Returning home, everyone had gradually finished the party. Veronica and Venus continued to go drinking, while everyone else went home. Mana even said she would not dwell on the past anymore, making everyone very happy. After everyone left, Nemesis, Athena, and Tamaki stayed overnight. Just as Tsurugi entered the room, he was stunned to see that Olga was still here, even wearing his clothes and reading his manga, apparently also staying overnight. On this side, Nemesis was watching a horror movie with Shiori, while Tamaki and Athena went to bathe. In the bathroom, Tamaki had noticed earlier that the atmosphere between Tsurugi and Athena was off, so she gently asked. Athena told her what had happened, also apologizing to everyone because her conflict had caused them trouble, and said she would return quickly once everything was resolved. After listening, Tamaki gently embraced Athena, also thanking her for helping them. In the bedroom, Tsurugi also told Olga everything that had happened. After listening, Olga thought Tsurugi was overthinking it. Tsurugi expressed worry about that Lucifer's power, but Olga reminded him that paradox level was just a measurement, and having power and being dangerous were not related to each other. In the bathroom, Tamaki also talked about her covenant. Before meeting Venus, she had made a covenant with a golden dragon princess named Xiolin, who had also returned to her original world after completing the mission, and after that they could no longer contact each other. Tamaki advised Athena to cherish the present more. On this side, Olga also advised Tsurugi that gods and humans being different did not mean they could not be together. After a while, Tsurugi finally came to his senses, feeling regretful for arguing with Athena, and left the room wanting to apologize to her, ignoring Olga's attempts to stop him. Just as Athena came out of the bathroom, Tsurugi rushed over to apologize, causing her bathrobe to fall off, and he ended up being kicked by Tamaki to Olga's despair. After getting dressed, Tsurugi knelt down to apologize to Tamaki, then quickly went to find Athena. He once again apologized to her for overthinking, expressing that he would no longer doubt her, and instead would trust her 200%. Hearing this, Athena quietly shed tears and smiled at him. The two made up once again. Elsewhere at the hospital, Veronica and Nemesis went to meet a man who seemed to be their superior. but that man acted as if he did not know who they were or what Alka was. At this time, the body of that man was being transported to a small island belonging to Alka. Just then, the system alerted that the Sapporo area was being attacked by many different types of foreigners simultaneously. Veronica realized they were the frozen Belva creatures, and the hospital room from before was now completely empty, with nothing left except the nameplate of Ash Paxton. At headquarters, everyone started another new day in the training room. Given the current situation, Tsurugi was called to the bureau chief's room. As soon as Tsurugi entered, he received Veronica's resignation letter. Jarno explained the situation. In Hakodate, there was an Alka laboratory, and 4 years ago, the person named Ash Paxton, who was Veronica's mentor at that time, had been transejacked by a frozen Belva named Monolium Foreigner, and subsequently lost consciousness. The Alka leaders at that time had secretly taken Ash, who was infected with countless paradox sickness, for treatment hidden beneath the central hospital to cover everything up. At that time, Jarno was the bureau chief, and he had brought Veronica to this place. 3 days ago, an investigation team wanting to clarify the incident had transferred Ash Paxton to the laboratory. This caused the Belva that had been captured to immediately go berserk. Jarno decided to entrust Veronica's matter to Tsurugi. Thus, he and Yukari along with their covenant gods were on their way to Hakodate. Athena and Yukari saw Tsurugi looking serious and became worried. Tsurugi was thinking about Veronica's situation, as she had left without telling anyone. In another car, Veronica was also heading to that Paradox Zone location with Nemesis. Outside the Alka laboratory, the Belva monster was keeping watch on the roof. Veronica quickly went inside to investigate the matter of Instructor Ash Paxton. The screen showed that Instructor Ash's body was being kept on the helicopter landing pad, as they had found his logic card. Outside at this moment, the monster was frantically trying to get to where Ash Paxton was, and regular attacks could not affect it. Veronica did not hesitate to drive an ice skating vehicle outside, while also trancing with Nemesis to rescue her instructor. On this side, Yukari also tranced with Quetzalcoatl to fly up and bring Tsurugi and Athena to where they needed to go. Athena and Tsurugi smiled listening to them play word games with each other to keep Quetzalcoatl awake to take them to their destination. But in the end, that snake still fell asleep, causing everyone to fall straight down into the snow. At this time in the investigation room, everyone was very worried and wanted to go to Sapporo, but the situation in Neian could not be abandoned either. After struggling for a while, all four finally arrived at the research facility, but received news that Veronica and Nemesis had arrived at the laboratory before them. Tsurugi and Athena did not hesitate to immediately rush out to support the bureau chief, while Yukari had to wait for Quetzalcoatl to wake up before going with them. At the laboratory, the Belva monster confronted Veronica, who was determined to deal with this monster to avenge her instructor. Veronica quickly charged forward, using bomb attacks, but none were effective. On this side, seeing that Quetzalcoatl had woken up, Yukari went to find food for it. Outside, that team leader wanted to stop Tsurugi, bringing out some drones to block their way. Reaching a dead end, Athena fell into a gap in the laboratory, and Tsurugi immediately jumped down with her. The two tranced to escape the current situation. Below, he and Athena were pushed into a mysterious room, a place holding dead foreigners. In the investigation room, Jarno had Piri hack the Hakodate security. According to the records, in a Hakodate laboratory, everyone was warning that the Belva wanted to stop the trance, but that Orlov still ordered them to continue, not to cancel this experiment, all for a world called Sepia. Everyone now understood the origin of that strange monster. Without further delay, Yukari pulled Quetzalcoatl out wanting to prepare to support everyone. Veronica had been disconnected, so she did not receive this information. Jarno ordered Tsurugi and Athena to go rescue her. On this side, Yukari and Quetzalcoatl, after struggling for a while, also reunited with Tsurugi. Everyone quickly used Quetzalcoatl's strength to climb up to Veronica and the Belva's position. At this time, the advantage seemed to lean toward the monster as it had not sustained any damage. Tsurugi was assigned to stop Veronica, while Yukari went to find Instructor Ash's logic card. At this moment, the Belva's attack had endangered Ash Paxton's body, making Veronica go mad wanting to destroy Belva along with Nemesis, as well as destroy everything. But just then Tsurugi arrived in time to use his shield to block the attack. He told Veronica the truth, that this Belva was just a victim, and it was Instructor Ash and Director Orlov who drove Belva mad. Veronica was shocked, refusing to believe it, and charged forward. Seeing that words were not working, Tsurugi immediately transmitted the video he had just found to her logograph. After watching the video, Veronica was stunned and stopped her attack. But the damage it caused was still too great, directly causing the laboratory to explode. Outside, that Orlov was very satisfied with the current situation, as all the evidence had disappeared. In the rubble, Veronica saw that the container holding Ash Paxton's body was still intact and approached the Belva. Tsurugi continuously advised her not to do the wrong thing. Veronica silently recalled the past, how she had been helped by Ash during her most difficult time, wanting to save this world. Yet because of this Belva everything was extinguished. Seeing Veronica raise a bomb wanting to kill Belva, Tsuragi still tried to advise her not to do it. At this moment Yukari also arrived in time to pull Tsuragi away, and he seized this opportunity to run and grab the bomb from Veronica's hand and throw it outside, breaking the ice layer surrounding the laboratory. After that was done, Yukari expressed that she had only found one logic card. The Belva being treated then became unusually calm. Alka's squadrons also arrived in time to arrest that Director Orlov for violating clauses in the law for protection of otherworld creatures. Finally, everyone returned home to the welcome of Chloe and Tamaki. Jarno went to meet Veronica and tore up her resignation letter, expressing that she could continue working. But given her thoughtless actions, Veronica still wanted to resign. But just as she went outside, Veronica heard everyone confessing their own past mistakes, trying to keep her from leaving. Veronica was about to thank Tsuragi, but was interrupted by everyone's laughter and chatter, but she was no longer annoyed with them like before. She happily assigned tasks to everyone, and another ordinary day passed at Alka headquarters. Another day of training in the simulation room. Yukari, after trancing with Quetzalcoatl, quickly carried out the reconnaissance mission to gather information about the monster for everyone. Mana still performed long-range combat duties, coordinating with Tamaki to fight the simulated foreigner, using Tamaki's magical rope to extend their combat range. They lured the monster to where Tsuragi and Chloe were, and the two on this side coordinated smoothly. Tsuragi used his shield as a platform for Chloe to jump up and deliver the finishing blow. Outside, Olga was doing weight training while observing everyone's battle. Everyone on this side had just left the training room when they ran into Olga. Seeing everyone happy as a team without him, Olga could not help but feel dejected and said a few sarcastic remarks. Just after returning to his room for a while, Tsuragi came to thank Olga for what happened earlier, also expressing that his role in the group was very significant. Before Tsuraga's extended hand, Olga did not respond and just slammed the door shut, as not having his own covenant god still seemed to be a thorn in his heart. On another day, Olga had just arrived at the foreigner prison area when he met a new staff member named Mickey, who seemed very friendly and showed great respect for Olga. But he did not pay much attention and continued walking inside. He continuously went to find foreigners wanting them to make a covenant with him, but all refused him, and some even showed contempt. Just when he was in despair, a foreigner named Enlil called out to greet him. Olga invited it to make a covenant with him, and Enlil immediately agreed upon hearing this, saying it wanted one day outside to take care of something it needed to do. Olga was not going to agree, but after hearing Enlil say its strength was equal to Lucifer's, he immediately wavered a bit. Just then outside the prison, Lucifer easily dealt with the guards to enter inside, shocking Mickey. In the headquarters room, Jarno had arranged to meet Veronica and Nemesis. They had just summarized the Hackadate incident and were preparing to issue directives for the new week when suddenly an announcement rang out about a foreigner appearing as a guest, one who called himself Lucifer and wanted to meet the strongest person here. Given this situation, the investigation room staff had evacuated everyone and immediately closed the base. The Logicalists and Olga heard the news and all ran to the upper floor to observe the situation. Jarno saw Lucifer walk in and smiled in welcome, with no pressure or tension in the atmosphere at all. The two quickly got to the main topic. Lucifer wanted to join Alka and make a covenant with someone here. He expressed that he just wanted to enjoy his life on Earth, and joining this organization would benefit both sides. While the two were still talking, Olga immediately shouted his name and wanted to make a covenant with Lucifer. But Jarno immediately cut him off, expressing that since the organization did not know anything about Lucifer, they could not yet trust handing over a Logicalist to him. Hearing this, Lucifer suggested becoming friends first, and Jarno cautiously shook hands with him. Lucifer then turned to leave, not forgetting to show interest in Olga before departing. After everything settled down, Olga immediately went to meet Veronica and Jarno to express his displeasure, thinking that the organization did not want him to make a covenant. Jarno explained that he had no intention of preventing it and on the contrary was very supportive, but they also needed to be more vigilant because that person was the fallen angel Lucifer. Olga angrily went to the simulation room and chose a low-level foreigner to fight one-on-one. While fighting, he angrily screamed to himself, not understanding why everyone could easily make covenants, from Tsuragi to Yukari, except for him. On this side, Mickey witnessed this scene and ran in trying to stop the simulation system. Inside, Olga was easily defeated by that low-level monster, and fortunately before it could finish him off, Mickey had stopped the simulation in time to run in. She gave Olga a slap for his impulsive actions, then quickly pulled him to another room for treatment. After hearing about the situation, Mickey was silent for a moment, then advised that he just needed to ask for information from someone who knew Lucifer. Hearing this, Olga immediately went to the prison where Enlil was being held to ask about Lucifer. but it demanded that in exchange, he would have to give it 1 day of freedom. After an internal struggle, Olga made his decision. That night the alarm sounded again, as a foreigner named Enlil had just escaped from the detention area and transejected a staff member in the prison, and that person was Olga. Everyone on the team immediately went to the located position to quickly complete the mission and save Olga. Tsurugi and Chloe quickly encountered Enlil first, and it attacked while screaming Veronica's name, apparently having a great grudge against their bureau chief. Chloe immediately charged forward but was knocked away by Enlil, as it only wanted to meet Veronica. This monster had overwhelming power, and Mana from afar immediately provided support to cut off the monster's tail, also combining strength with Tamaki to protect them. Yukari from above observed and reported that Enlil had changed its target to Mana. Just as the monster was about to charge, it was shot in the head by Mana. Chloe and Tsurugi once again coordinated for her to attack. After the battle ended, Olga opened his eyes to find himself lying in the hospital, having been hit with quite serious paradox sickness. Olga immediately took out his logograph to check, but it could no longer be used. Returning to the incident site, Lucifer had picked up Olga's logic card. Because he lost the card, he could no longer return to being a logicalist. Tsurugi immediately wanted to go find it, but everyone had already searched with no results. Connecting the events together, the team believed there was a spy in the Alka organization. Before the meeting ended, Veronica ordered everyone to return to the scene to find the logic card for Olga. Everyone received the order, searching while silently praying that Olga would be able to pursue his dream. Returning to the hospital, Mickey came to visit Olga. He recalled that although he had hesitated, he had not opened the door at all. It had just suddenly opened by itself. Mickey then said some words to divide Olga from Alka, and Olga immediately came to his senses and chased her out of the hospital room. Mickey stepped out of the room and respectfully bowed before Lucifer, who had been standing there for a while. Lucifer entered the room and gave the logic card to Olga. Mickey slowly left the room as the sound of a successful covenant connection echoed. In the hospital room, Olga had disappeared, and the guards had been knocked out without anyone noticing. The next day, news of Olga's disappearance along with his logograph also reached everyone on the team. Veronica went to the investigation room to search for Olga's location, but had no results, as Olga's logograph signal had apparently been jammed. While everyone was worried about him, Quetzalcoatl laughed loudly, saying it knew what was happening. Outside the city, in a corner no one paid attention to, Lucifer entered his own sanctuary, where there were people who worshipped him, continuously expressing their desire to trance with him. Beside him, Olga silently followed. The two arrived at a corner on the upper floor, and Olga asked why Lucifer had his logic card. Moreover, he followed him because Lucifer said he had something to show him. Lucifer simply felt they had many similarities, both being forgotten and labeled as bad guys. The two looked down at those who revered the fallen god Lucifer, and Lucifer expressed his desire to bring the logic that everyone wanted to all people, making Olga somewhat convinced after hearing this. Yukari, following Quetzalcoatl, found Lucifer and Olga at the sanctuary in a corner of the city. On this side, Piri in the control room also found the culprit who opened the gate to let Enlil out. It was not Olga, but a receptionist named Miki Shinobu. Everyone, especially Chloe, wanted to immediately go there to deal with Lucifer and bring Olga back. But Veronica felt it was too risky, especially when they did not know if he was good or bad, and Lucifer's power was too great. The Covenant gods looked at each other, then immediately pulled Quetzalcoatl to a corner for questioning, feeling that this kid was hiding something. Under everyone's pressure, Quetzalcoatl finally told the situation. When it first came to this world, it had talked with Lucifer and even made a bet with him, and the result was, as everyone saw, it had lost. Artemis felt that Lucifer might be the one who had summoned the other demon gods to this world. Under the mental torture of everyone, Quetzalcoatl only revealed a bit more information about Lucifer wanting to create a bridge between two worlds. Artemis worried that Olga and Mickey were two victims being controlled and brainwashed by Lucifer onto the wrong path. Indeed, on this side, Lucifer was using his words to persuade Olga, even willing to appear inferior to gain his trust. Finally, Lucifer led Olga to the center of the sanctuary, introducing him as the one chosen to make a covenant with. Everyone below immediately applauded with envy and admiration. Seeing Olga still hesitating, Lucifer mentioned Alka, also tempting him with the position of leader of this sanctuary. Before everyone's praise, Olga gradually regained his confidence and became firm with who he was, and Lucifer smiled, having achieved his goal. Outside, the Covenant gods were very troubled about Olga's matter. Nemesis and Quetzalcoatl were not too surprised, as after all not everyone wanted to protect the world. Sometimes there were people who became logicalists for personal wishes, money, fame, recognition. At the sanctuary, Olga and Lucifer performed their first trance in front of their followers. Immediately after this trance, everyone at Alka received information, and this time it was not a signal about a foreigner, but about a new logicalist. Olga, after trancing with Lucifer, immediately went outside and accused the Alka organization of imprisoning foreigners to use as specimens for their evil experiments. Everyone in the organization realized Olga had been brainwashed by Lucifer, or in proper terminology, had been transijacked. Tsurugi volunteered to go deal with Olga without causing damage, not letting Athena come along in case the two sides fought. Veronica approved of him, also rearranging to give assignments to each person. Outside the city, Olga continuously condemned the Alka organization, calling on everyone to create a sepia world with him, though hardly anyone seemed to care. Just then, Tsurugi and the soldiers arrived to evacuate everyone. Tsurugi shouted toward Olga, saying the culprit who opened the detention gate was the receptionist Miki Shinobu, that he had been cleared of suspicion and everyone was very worried about him. Olga did not care and only insisted on fighting Tsurugi. Seeing that Tsurugi did not want to fight, Olga then wanted to force him to trance by destroying everything. In the chaotic situation with Athena's persuasion, Tsurugi had no choice but to trance with her. He did not attack but only defended, still wanting to talk rather than use fists. Olga's attacks were very strong, causing damage to both people and property. In the distance, Mana had also appeared at Lucifer's sanctuary following Veronica's orders. She entered inside and saw people who had all been transijacked continuously begging for something. Mana and everyone in the control room quickly realized Lucifer's purpose. He had created a place for humans to discard logic cards they did not want and receive a more ideal logic card in return. Olga gently explained that he wanted humans and gods to coexist here, where gods would have a new place to live and humans would be reborn in an ideal way through transijacking. A paradise of cooperation, was it not? Olga firmly believed in the place that Lucifer spoke of, and due to jealousy and resentment did not listen to Tsurugi's advice. Before Olga's provocations, Tsurugi decided to use strength to persuade him. But Olga now had Lucifer's power, and was no longer weak like before, and Tsurugi was quickly defeated and fell. But just then, Tamaki appeared to help heal him, and Mana, Chloe, and Veronica also arrived for support. Yukari from above reminded them to be careful of the dark energy emanating from Olga, which was like a black hole that would swallow and destroy everything. With Lucifer's assistance, Olga quickly dealt with everyone at once. His attacks were so strong that even Tsurugi's shield could not withstand them and shattered. Olga thought he was the victor and used a final blow to finish off the whole team. After everyone had been defeated, having seemingly achieved half his purpose, Olga quickly moved to the Alka detention building to complete the other half. Inside, Jarno was already waiting and seriously advised him to return to Alka instead of doing things like this. Olga wasted no words and immediately destroyed the prison, freeing all the foreigners. Returning to the sanctuary, Olga thanked Mickey for helping him become enlightened, and the group quickly proceeded to the high platform. The followers below continuously wished to be transijacked with the foreigners released from the cages, and Olga and Lucifer used them like logic card auctions. Just waiting for that, the foreigners immediately tranced those foolish people, then triumphantly rampaged throughout the city. Not only that, a large gate opened by Lucifer had appeared in the sky, heralding a not-so-bright future for the peace of Naian and the entire world. It seemed the entire city had sunk into the paradox zone of those foreigners, because the monsters continuously stepping out from Lucifer's gate had disrupted the signal waves. Alka could not send information back to headquarters, so they also had no way to mobilize other logicalists to help. The situation became increasingly tense, and ordinary people quickly followed the Alka team to evacuate to a safer place. On this side, Jarno also appeared with the survivors from the recent foreigner release incident, and he would directly command from here. Veronica immediately stood up to give him her place. The investigation staff quickly carried out their duties, as all of Japan was drowning in foreigner signals, and they had to rely on themselves. Jarno issued orders for the logicalists to ensure the safety of all civilians while finding a way to close the gate at Alka headquarters and capture the foreigners to ensure everyone's safety. The whole team quickly got into the car to prepare for battle. After the familiar trance, since he arrived earlier, Tsurugi quickly went to meet Olga alone. Veronica and the car went to the meeting point with the foreigner and Lil, who hated her. Tsurugi wanted to take the gate card from Olga's hand to close that gate, preventing the world from continuing to be destabilized as it currently was. Of course, this request was not approved by Olga, and the two continued their battle. Outside on the streets there was not a single person left, and Yukari was flying up in the air to search for foreigners, her first target being the little foreigner kid at the kindergarten area. Mana was also chasing other monsters. Chloe found the puppet foreigners to perform her elimination of them all. Tamaki fought the monster from episode 1 that appeared at the shopping center. Veronica continued using bombs to attack as was her usual style. At this time in the control room, staff reported that the current situation was not favorable, as most of the foreigners before had been defeated through team coordination, and currently splitting up to attack would be difficult to succeed. But the commander and other members still believed they could do it. Moreover, they had complete information about these monsters, so one logicalist eliminating a foreigner was not entirely impossible. Jarno was also full of faith in these young people, so he did not change any plans and continued to let them carry out their missions. On Yukari's side, she quickly found that kindergarten monster, but it quickly ran away, giving her no small amount of difficulty. Mana was also in a bind, having to fight at close range, and Chloe, without Tamaki's support, was having difficulty with this level 8 puppet foreigner. Everyone currently had not found their breakthrough point, but Jarno, observing from afar, still placed his trust in them. Indeed, good results soon came. Veronica, Chloe, Tamaki, Mana, and Yukari quickly used their strongest technique, their logic drive, to counterattack, and thus they had dealt with 5 dangerous foreigners. Only Tsurugi was continuously in a bind before Olga's fierce attacks. Of the whole team, only Veronica still had enough strength to come here, while the rest had exhausted their trance limit and were taken back to the organization. Olga was still confident that as long as the gate was not closed, he would not be defeated. Only this time everyone had obtained data on Lucifer, so Veronica was confident she would not be defeated as quickly as before. Tsurugi quickly used his logic drive for the first time to attack, and Olga was not afraid at all of these moves. Everyone had been brought back to the control room, all anxiously watching the battle before them. Olga quickly used his familiar technique, but everything was absorbed into Tsurugi's shield. Veronica continued dropping bombs, but Olga also easily used his technique to neutralize that attack. Using logic drive for a long time brought Tsurugi close to his trance limit, and both Covenant gods did not feel optimistic about this fight. But Tsurugi, having fought a battle, had found Olga's weakness. The staff in his hand could only perform one action, either attack or defense, so they had to attack before he could defend. With a battle plan, Tsurugi rushed forward to bait Olga into attacking first, then let Veronica attack at that moment. Olga did not show fear as expected, using logic drive to create a similar staff, so now both attack and defense could be handled. Just as Olga unleashed a powerful blow toward both of them, Tsurugi, having exhausted his energy, was separated from Athena, and seeing this, Veronica immediately rushed forward to use her body to protect both of them. Both had reached their limits, and Olga became even more pleased with his performance. After once again defeating the Alka group, Olga quickly left, only leaving behind a promise to fight Tsurugi again. In the control room, all branches had been invaded by foreigners, and if the gate was not closed soon, it would become even more dangerous for the country's safety. All the logicalists were now gathered at the hospital caring for the unconscious Veronica and Nemesis. Suddenly, an announcement called Tsurugi to the simulation room. He met his father and sister there, both breathing a sigh of relief seeing Tsurugi was still okay. The ordinary children, seeing a logicalist appear, were extremely excited and immediately ran over to surround him. One kid even showed him his logograph. Thanks to the support of his family and those children, Tsurugi regained faith and hope in their victory. At the hospital, Veronica and Nemesis finally woke up after being in a coma for a while. And after hearing that Athena and Tsurugi were still okay, they finally breathed a sigh of relief. The situation was as critical as the apocalypse, and Tsurugi now entered the control room to present his final solution. Everyone who heard was shocked, while Jarno just remained silent. By the time the whole team ran back to the control room, they only received news that Tsurugi and Athena had already left earlier. He went to where Lucifer and Olga were staying, and also requested the control room to allow him to use overtrance. Although everyone wanted to object, Jarno quickly approved this proposal, respecting the decision of both of them. So when Tsurugi confronted Olga, he had completed overtrance. Olga did not hesitate to use logic drive from the start, but this time Tsurugi could make new progress, easily knocking Olga back. Just when it seemed like a golden opportunity for victory, Olga did not disappoint as a villain, unhesitatingly using overtrance with Lucifer, turning the situation in another direction. The gate above in the sky continuously emitted dark energy that swallowed everything and caused transejacking for everyone. It seemed now there was only the choice between life and death. The entire city of Nayan sank into desperate darkness. Venus wanted everyone to flee, but Jarno was determined to stay and could not abandon Tsurugi and Athena. Tsurugi quickly created a massive paradox zone surrounding the city, transforming that dark energy, protecting everyone in the city. At this time, the sky was interweaving between Lucifer's and Athena's paradox sources. Lucifer continued using words to persuade Tsurugi and Athena about the paradise world he was creating. But Tsurugi believed that accepting one's own logic, following one's own path, no matter how painful and difficult, was still one's own choice, and thus hope would come. Athena believed that foreigners had their own way of living and humans did too. Both affirmed that any moment spent with those they loved was paradise. After speaking, Tsurugi charged up to fight with Olga. An evenly matched battle continuously took place on the skyscraper. Everyone tensely witnessed the entire fighting process. But at this moment Olga directly self-destructed, wanting to use over-logic drive to send Tsurugi to the paradise he desired. Watching Tsurugi fall, everyone could not bear it, and all rushed out of the control room wanting to support Tsurugi. Before the staff's objections, Jarno believed that if they did not win this battle there would be no future anyway, so they might as well risk it all. On the rooftop, Tsurugi had not yet collapsed and continued to stand up, while Olga continued attacking. Just then, the helicopter carrying the Alka team arrived, and the group, though unable to trance yet, still stood to protect Tsurugi. Olga ordered them to fall back, but everyone wanted to use words to touch his compassion. Lucifer ordered Olga to quickly attack them all, but Olga believed this was just a battle between him and Tsurugi, and the others were not involved. Lucifer sighed, and immediately Olga painfully collapsed, as he had taken control of this body. Lucifer did not hesitate to raise his staff high, but once again Veronica rushed forward to block the blow for everyone. Olga regained control of his body and told Lucifer to stop. Lucifer gently revealed the truth, that he could possess any other logicalist, and it did not have to be Olga, so stop deluding himself. Everyone also realized his true purpose was not to create a world where gods and humans coexisted. He only wanted to dominate everything. Hearing everyone's advice about logic and life, Lucifer did not care much, only believing that what he gave he could take back. That was the covenant between two people. Immediately, Olga felt extreme pain in his body, but he could still remain conscious and throw the staff away to Lucifer's surprise, expressing that he wanted to fight and win with his own logic. Tsurugi also stood up, affirming that he also wanted to have a fight with Olga. The two immediately charged at each other barehanded to fight, the combat force strong enough to shake the entire building. After knocking Olga away, Tsurugi reminded him of what he had once said, about no one forbidding humans and gods from coexisting. So there was nothing wrong if the two of them disagreed. Olga still wanted to continue fighting. Lucifer wanted to use the staff to fight, but Olga only used his bare hands. Tsurugi immediately charged forward using physical strength to defeat Olga, but was exploited through an opening as Olga charged at him. Just when it seemed like he was about to defeat Tsurugi, the overtrance limit notification appeared, causing Olga to collapse. Tsurugi immediately used over-logic drive, creating a solid defensive shield, then also quickly reached his own limit. Everyone fearfully rushed over to hold him, but his own logic was also gradually fading. The entire city suddenly emitted a great light. Athena slowly opened her eyes to see the other Covenant gods watching beside her bed. During the week she was in a coma, all the foreigners had been defeated and the gate had been closed. Everyone and the Alka organization worldwide had gathered all of Tsurugi and Athena's logic cards and helped them survive. What was even more surprising was that the person who thought of this method was Olga. Olga slowly approached, surrounded by bombs as punishment, so that every time he said something clever or intended to do something foolish, they would explode. Lucifer had been imprisoned in a dark dungeon. That day Olga had gone to meet Lucifer, taking out the logic card to return to him. After all, it was thanks to the recent incident that Olga realized how great his own shortcomings were. Lucifer did not want to receive it back from a human's hand, so Olga simply took it, also expressing that he would take responsibility for helping Lucifer fulfill his wish in a more proper way. Returning to the present, Olga announced that both of their logic card counts were still missing one each. Athena did not care much, only worried about the Tsurugi. On this side everyone was talking with Tsurugi, but he seemed to not remember anyone at all. Rentaro explained that the lost logic card contained Tsurugi's memories, so he no longer had any memories. Athena, however, did not feel heartbroken, as it turned out her lost logic card contained Athena's feelings for Tsurugi, truly compensating for each other. Everyone was not disappointed, only expressing they would try to find the final logic card for them. Athena recalled the day the two talked with each other, when Tsurugi had reminded her of what would happen when they used overtrance. Athena had unhesitatingly promised to find the logic card for him, and Tsurugi also promised to help her find it for her too. Athena then set a condition: whoever found the card first would be allowed to make a demand of the other. Perhaps thanks to that, Athena was not disappointed, but instead full of determination to go find the card for him. The end of the battle was also when everyone returned to normal life, and the injured were taken to the hospital for care. Standing on the rooftop, Jarno and everyone thanked and said goodbye to their Covenant gods. But Venus and the other Covenant gods said they would not leave, but would stay with everyone. Jarno explained the team would carry out the mission to find the logic cards for Tsurugi and Athena, while Nayan would be commanded and managed by Olga. Thus, their journey continued. Yukari went to Towering Mountains, Chloe with her Covenant god, Mana with Artemis, and Tamaki all split up everywhere to search for the cards. Tsurugi stayed with Veronica and Nemesis to study the logicalist path. Olga sat in the commander's chair in the control room continuing his work. What gave everyone headaches was only that Tsurugi had once again run away. Athena received the news and worriedly went to find him. and the two found each other on the grass where they first met. Tsurugi also did not understand why he had come here, but he had been away for a while and found Athena's logic card. Athena quickly regained her feelings for him, and at this moment tears could not be held back and fell. Everyone from afar also smiled witnessing this couple. Athena reminded him of their promise, and though Tsurugi did not remember, he still made a request. He did not want them to use formal language with each other anymore, because it sounded too distant. Everyone witnessing this was speechless. Was that all? But Athena was not disappointed. She smiled confidently, expressing that she would definitely go find the final logic card for him. The two looked toward the city before them. Their days ahead were still long.